So today I want to talk about basically being lost and found. So this synthesis or giving up control, really. And I want to start with an inspiration from Cathy Malchiodi. She's an art therapist, and she says that there's this eclectic sort of combined what's most possible, what's most appropriate. That's kind of a synthesis. Also, another version of synthesis is like simple and order, which is a way to project meaning and intention. Then there's certification, requirements, credentials, and the synthesis of this is like resources. When it comes to therapy and counseling, we could say mastering the degrees or the license. When it's giving voice to the silent, giving a stage to the hidden, we could think of amplification, magnification, images within images, right? And also when it's containers for expression, we think like, how do we administer and utilize them? And let's talk about giving up control for a moment. When we lessen our attachment to the outcome, there's a freedom from the having to control, and especially having to control others, which also means being controlled by them too, because now we must have them be a certain way, right, for the outcome that we want. And also remember, when we give up control, we are able to be respectable, admirable, trustworthy, and like naturally dependable and reliable. We don't need to face this sort of the rebellions, the combating. In other words, we don't force people when they feel like there's control over them, they're going to end up wanting to rebel and combat us. They don't want any semblance of control over the situation from us, because if it's by opposition, then they're able to say no. Otherwise we have to like oppress them for them to acquiesce that control. That's not really like something that they're going to trust and admire and respect, right? Or feel they could depend on or rely on. Then we have this idea that if our feet are touching the ground, which is the earth, the groundedness, our magnet, which everyone has, a heel or a soul, it's equalized in the beginning. Like everyone starts flat on the earth. Whether you're flat-footed or not, there's a part of your feet touching the ground. And there's that same gravity, the laws of nature, to resist and grow against in order to develop and mature past wherever we started, that baseline, right? That's what I'm saying. We all start at the baseline. Or else that push ends up holding us. We see saggingly, droopingly back. And the earth is actually suspended in space with invisible, socketed, kind of like legs anchoring it to its position. We would say this is by a greater power than the gravity itself. Then also like this idea that, when we think of like mystery, it's all about like wanting to be surprised, but but then also facing that we might have a fear of what could happen. And so what is lost and found? This idea that a trespasser is a passer, someone who goes past. This idea of Ivrim, which is Jews, originally before we had everybody was named Yehuda or Jude or Jews or Yehud or Jude. It was Ivrim, ever meaning from Abraham, which was the one who crossed over. It's the one who goes past the limit, the breaker, the transcender of the boundary, beyond the border. And also, it could mean trespass, which is the guidelines, the law. When you trespass the law, you are actually what we call averot, which means transgression. That's ownership, like stay in your lane, get off my back. You're like going past the other person's boundary. It has a lot to do about edges, the container's edges, territory, vacancy, and what it means to have or to not have is the next phase of lost and found, like possessions, and also states of being. And then we have to explore like what's mine, what's yours. Hefker means it doesn't belong to anyone. Belonging means it belongs. And then the idea that we mentioned of boundaries. I want to also share like some stuff I talked about with my aunt. Her name is Rivka Tevel. How we have to plan for the future, but we have to want today to be a good day. A lot of people do well when we write lists because we get it off our head. Another is this is like ways to function, to synthesize this and this. Plan for the future, but today's a good day. Write the list, but recognize it's really just to get it off our head. One foot in front of the other, but also keep going. Like, yeah, you put your foot down, but also you have to keep putting your foot down. it's not time to move on till we're ready. We have to be ready to move on, even though we want to move on in order to be ready for the next thing. Then we have sometimes all we want is a hug from the one that we can't see or touch or feel or hear. So these are like these paradoxes, and we from this place something new is synthesized. Finally, also we have to like prioritize the open channel for blessings. In other words, the thing that we're not clear on the outcome, like the very thing that we don't know, it's an open channel. It's not, you don't know what will come in. That's what will bring the success, the health connection, like sort of that openness. And finally, the last topic I wanted to share today was about Chachma and Hod. And Chachma is like the second dimension of the 10 dimensions that are supernal attributes, traits, measures. And the eighth one is called Hod. Chachma has to do with wisdom. It is the masculine. Hod is considered like feminine, and it's so Chachma is related to the right brain, new ideas, this like new synthesis. Hod is the one that connects with the source code, like that original. It also has to do with Yehuda, like Hod, like Jew, Yehudim, and this is because it's related to the word gratitude, splendor, majesty. And when you do 8 plus 10, you get Malchut. So you have from Chachma to Hod. In other words, you have this something shooting out and something that's capable of receiving it. Usually, Bina expands Chachma, but as you travel down the path of the various elements where they are in the body, remembering that Malchut is related to the foot. Remember, I said we start at the foot when we're all pushing up against gravity, and so you have this like Hod, like sort of this receiving of something, and then the Chachma, which is the first place that you have the unlimited, unfathomable, indescribable light that is infinite, actually have an idea, have an image, have a form, something new coming in, something real, a drip into the physical. So this is about not knowing and not wanting. That's how we get our sovereignty. It's being able to stay conscious while in a deep open space. That's how we go. That's what dignity is. And what is royalty? It's wisdom and humility. What is serving? It's accepting and yielding. A strong mind and a strong spirit where there's gratitude of the receiving is part of the mental and the metaphysical foundational structure is that wire from heaven to earth and vice versa. We would call that person a leader or a ruler. Their foot is on the ground, but their head's also in the clouds. So here we covered all different versions of synthesis. I wish you well. Have a great night.